Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaw@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV. Welcome, everyone. Make sure that is good. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, everyone out there in Gatherverse Nation, and welcome to our panel discussion on this remarkable day one of the Gatherverse Summit. So I'm Grant McGaugh. I'm the host of the Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, and I will moderate today's session. And it's an honor to be here among such visionary individuals who are truly shaping the future of wellness. So today we have gathered an exceptional group of women who are leading the charge in driving social impact and inclusivity within the realm of wellness. They are pioneers, trailblazers, and change makers, each bringing their unique perspectives and experiences to the table. And our panelists represent a diverse range of backgrounds and expertise, and they have dedicated their lives to addressing the specific needs of different populations, breaking down barriers, and champion inclusivity in every aspect of their work. So from community outreach programs to cutting edge research, they have been instrumental in creating a more equitable and accessible wellness landscape for all. So we will explore the challenges they have faced, the triumphs they have achieved, and the path forward in creating a wellness landscape that leaves no one behind. So let us embark on this enlightening conversation as we delve into the fascinating world of women shaping the future of wellness, driving social impact and inclusivity. So welcome. We're going to go around the table. We're going to get some introductions done. I'd like each of you to state your name, your title, who you work for, but more importantly, what's the one thing that you want the audience to get out of your talk today? What do you want to achieve for today? So we'll go around the room and the table. We're going to start with, is it Marquetta? Marquetta here?
I don't think so.
She's not there.
Oh, no.
I see Tamika is kind of circling here.
Yeah.
Right? Who wants to go first?
So I can go first, if you don't mind, of course.
I do not mind. Go right ahead.
Yes, my name is Gorette. I'm working here in Portugal, but I travel a lot to Africa and to the other countries of Lusophonia, Portuguese countries that speaks on Portuguese, of course. And I'm actually leading with video games and the inclusivity and the diversity that this area brings to all the community or the tech community. So, what I am doing, I am Chief Communication Officer of a big company on technology, but my passion is working with young people, new groups, and bring them to the ecosystem, helping them to achieve new companies and develop their own business on these areas. So I'm embracing to the each social hub that is a group that starts here in Portugal with a black Brazilian woman that is a big leader on equity, diversity, and inclusivity. I'm helping her to bring new policies here in Portugal to receive international and foreign women and black women to high qualified roles on the ecosystem of video games and tech too. Okay, because I was this week, sorry for the long statement, but this week I was at an event that was organized by each social hub, and I listened a very qualified engineer, ambiental engineer, that when start to finding a job, she's a black woman, but she has 20 on their final course degree. But
Okay.
when she sent her own CV to the a big company, the first send with the photo, with the black photo, she wasn't. Nobody answered to this application. After that, she sent the same CV to the high quality firm that is a very known because it's a multinational, and she took off their photo, and she was called to the interview, and she spoke on the phone, and they said to him, so you speak so well, so come on and coming to the interview. And she went, and when she went to the class to the room, and somebody looked at her and said, oh, sorry, that was a mistake. I can handle
Mm,
it with that. So I'm here to start a new era on Portugal and on the Lusophone countries to look to the people just on their own talents and not only on the color of their skin, uh, their um, uh, their cultural backgrounds or the gender. We are all human and we are very qualified. And this girl is very qualified and is doing an amazing job here in Portugal with a social platform to young people that come from universities. And she helps them to go to the multinational companies. So, this is my proposal. Equity and diversity is our problem too, not for only for women but for men too. I think we have a major role working on that. This is my major goal on this round table because I think we are more we are with you, we are being supported here, women, because they talk a lot on the huge companies that they want to receive us and giving us some leadership roles. And that is not true because when we work on a role model, um, not a female model on the management, they almost the times choose men. So we need to go to next levels and be inclusive, and we need to develop leadership and entrepreneurship between women, giving them ranges and address them new initiatives that focus on our own development, but looking to the body positive and diversity, mental health advocacy, because we need to work all different stages because we need to be more powerful and being well to go to the next step. So this is my my
wow.
first statement.
I
Okay.
tell you jumped right in. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about some diversity, inclusivity. You gave us a story of some bias. That's that is in the community. And so let's keep going around the table and get to, we're going to go right below you. So, Cynthia, you like to introduce yourself?
We are not listening.
Oh, we can't hear it. Are you off of
Yes.
mute?
Yep.
So, Cynthia, we can't hear you for some reason. I don't know what the problem is. So let's go over to Samantha. Can you come off with mute and introduce yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. So my name is Samantha Venia Logan, and I do go by my middle name, Venia. And I am an online community architect and teacher for the social science of online community. So what I do is I work with my clients, tech companies, startups, etc., primarily in e-learning, to build really great virtual spaces where we can learn about how we're building these cultures in online environments. And then I turn around and I use those very same clients as research sites to teach and learn the social science of community co-iteratively. So the idea that we have here is for us to build each individual virtual space, learn a little bit more about how our physical cultures in all of the history of anthropology translate into those online spaces, make those adaptations, and then try and bring associative, deliberative life into our virtual worlds. Hopefully, we'll make it healthier.
That is very good. I love the goal. I love the mission. We're definitely going to move in that direction. Marquetta, you like Marquita, excuse me,
Marquita.
Marquita, you like
Yeah.
to introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Gatherverse Wellverse Summit. My name is Marquita Stokes. I am hailing from Delaware, and I am a speaker, author, coach, entrepreneur, and I focus on teaching solitude. I focus on career-driven women who are in their 30s and up, who feel overwhelmed, who feel burnt out, and I teach the transformation that occurs in isolation. um, and then I debunk things like it can't happen in pairs, it can only happen one at a time, and how to reset, recharge, and renew yourself in solitude. Just practical tools and things for that. So I'm really big on solitude and restoring ourselves in complete transformation. So I'm excited about being here and talking about women wellness. My spa that I own is called the Aesthetic Suite, and here we focus on women wellness. So this is actually hitting home for me. So I'm excited.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we're feel at home here. Let's have an open discussion and really get to the heart of it and bring some things out for and represent all women in our culture when it comes to the tech space and the wellness space and what we can do moving forward. So, Maria, would you like to come up with mute and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I'm Marielle Mena. I'm an artist, creative director, curator, and entrepreneur. I'm based in London, where I co-founded two organizations, Kimatica Studio, which is where I explore my art practice, and we create transformative experiences that combine interactive technology, live performance, and the human body. And I'm currently doing, I've been on an ongoing research on a project that I call Transcendence, that is exploring the therapeutic impact of altered state of consciousness. And all of these I'm exploring within the hybrid space. So I've started with like just kind of live events, live experiences, and now in the last few years we develop like software tools, mainly body tracking technology tools, as I believe any kind of any like virtual space, any hybrid space, it has to be truly linked to the body if we want for these technologies to have a good therapeutic impact and a societal impact too. So that's we are pioneers on this technology, and we develop our own softwares on augmented reality mainly now. I'm also a curator and co-founder of an organization called Art in Flux that is particularly focused on supporting underrepresented media artists such as LGBTQ plus and neurodiverse mainly. And we've curated several exhibitions and mainly just with finished a project with the National Gallery, which it was about bringing some of the work of these underrepresented artists to Leicester Square, to occupying the square, just there like in a virtual way, and also just something that I'm quite proud that we achieved is like through that project we got for all these underrepresented media artists to be on the collection of the oldest digital art collection in the UK, which it belongs to Computers Art Society, bringing also legacy, because I think the change it needs to be, it starts with like bringing those people on the forefront. Actually continue with the last panel that I was just listening to. It's about like making sure that different underrepresented voices, they get to those places of like where decision makers are happening. In my world is wellness, but within the art context. So that's where I'm at. And really my vision is to create the immersive therapeutic art experience of the future. So I'm really kind of creating a lab, a community with I'm particularly interested in how artists, scientists, and technology fuse, and on the cross border of this. But I do believe artists is the best catalyst, to hold this and to really like get people even to be interested about wellness, because a lot of people still resist about it. I think there is a lot of resistance. And I think like arts can be like a good, catalyst, like to encompass all these more heavier concept that actually healing is, right? Because it's not a light concept. So yeah, maybe I'll leave it there. I think.
No, we got a lot of passion in the room. There's a lot that we can discuss. We've got, a short period of time, but we want to make good use of it because we want to hear everyone's values. Cynthia, can you now speak to us? Can you come off of mute? Oh, we still can't hear you.
It's really low.
Is it coming in low?
Right now?
It's very low.
Yeah, it's low. That's right. Can you change your mic?
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to speak directly through the computer instead of through your device?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
coming in a little better. Yes.
Still low, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's still low.
No, it's coming in okay now.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Cynthia. I'm from Kenya. I do children-centered wellness. I champion for children and including them in such conversations. I ensure that mental health is a whole scope of, yes, we are children and we want to be heard, and children also deserve to be in spaces where they are well represented. Yes, I'm not a child, but I'd like them to even be here, like have a speaker who is here and is a child, and also embracing mental health from a younger age rather than waiting for us to be older and we're talking about mental health when you're older. So I started May 40, which is May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month, everyone. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and then 40, in every 40 seconds, someone dies by suicide. So I started May 40, which ensures that children are advocating for mental health and everyone is still speaking on the conversation, and we're trying to change it from a stigma point of view to a normal conversation. And largely I am doing this year's project, which is called Toto series, which is for children. Toto means a child, and series is the number of series of projects I'll be doing. Looking forward to this conversation, and thank you for having me.
Oh, see, you sound great. This is wonderful. We've got to level set a couple of things. This is what I find disturbing when we look at the intersection between technology, women, and healthcare wellness. Is that when you add it all up, women outnumber men. I mean, we have the numbers. So if we have the population, why don't we have the representation? Then we start getting into diversity and things like that. But when you add up everyone's diversity, if they're all on the same page, you outnumber what you would call the majority minority. However, the majority comes into ownership. Majority of basically white males own, most of the world as we know it. So because that becomes the culture, that becomes the dominant culture and the dominant mindset that we all are dwelling in and have to adapt to, but yet it doesn't fully represent ourselves. So then you get into, you know, good cultural fit. Like you brought up a great point, Goretta's, that
Mhm.
wow, this person had the same qualifications,
Yes.
had everything that you would need to fit the requirement to do the job, but when they saw the person physically, it didn't fit their what they were looking for visibly. Even though on the books, and I've always brought this up in a lot of discussion, which it upsets me really, is that in 1960s in the United States they came out with civil rights to say, hey, you can't discriminate against people based on their race, their ethnicity, their sex, none of this stuff, sexual orientation. You're not illegal to do that. Yet here we are 60 years later
Yes.
talking about this. This is to
Yes.
me a little upsetting. I want anyone to jump in and just let's have an open discussion about this, because if we're going to create the next layer of experience through technology, or we're going to carry forth these biases, or we're going to really get intentional about changing this dynamic. What would you like to say about that? Anyone?
I have so much to say about this.
Yes.
Let's go.
Woo! All right. The thing about this is I'm going to introduce those who know me, well aware that I'm going to do this. I'm going to introduce two anthropological concepts to you. The first one is called the socio-ecological model, made by Yuri Bronfenbrenner way back 1980s. He was a sociologist. He gave us the most kind of model ever. It was the most obvious thing. But the second he made it an academic concept, it created an entire subsection of anthropology and sociology. And here's what it is. There is this concept that you can take all of society and you can divide it into a series of scopes, basically boundaried environments. So the first one is intrapersonal. How do you think of yourself? How do you build your identity, right? Then there's interpersonal. How do you relate that identity to your friends, your family members, people who are close to you? The third scope moves into this small group shared identity. We can start to see this become an inner community. After that, you have an organization where those shared identities coalesce and come together into a larger brand. And then an outer community. How do those individuals interact between brands and the public and various different spaces in our society? Then there's the next level up, which is after your outer community, you have public policy. So this is your government systems, the institutions that we interact with. And then beyond that, we now have this new one, right? We have this virtual world, this non-geographically developed space where people can interact and connect with one another, right? Mm-hmm. Now, anyone can say, oh yeah, that's just the public sphere, or oh yeah, I just work in the interpersonal sphere. This is obvious to us. But the issue comes when we try to implement this on an academic level. There was this healthcare company way back 2002, 2003, who decided to look at this specific model as a way to change the way that children ate in American schools. The big issue was that cafeterias just didn't have the funding from up top. They didn't have the parental support from down below. The kids didn't have a strong understanding for their actual diets. And because they tried to focus on each individual scope of our society, every single initiative, every one of them failed. The one that worked was the one where they took a little bit of each individual process across the entire socio-ecological scale, made small tweaks, small changes, handled those discussions deliberatively, and they made a change on every step of that scope. Because we focus on law, because we focus on interpersonal, because we focus on personal careers, because we focus on institutional trust and development with our companies, because we focus on one thing, we're not getting anywhere. That's why it's happening, which is where the second model comes into play. Power distance. Power distance is also this obvious thing where people come to you and you say a specific topic, but you don't say that the same way to everyone. You might say it differently to your mother and your friends at the bar than you do to your boss.
Mhm.
When we are locked into our individual scopes in the socio-ecological model, that power distance causes us to mitigate. And it's not because people are taking our voices away, it happens naturally. It is a base element or understanding of the way that we've stratified our world. And unfortunately, the people who recognize that, the people who recognize the way that this power functions, are not the people who are being mitigated.
Mm. Disconnect.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that you define the human dynamic, human awareness and behavior. And that's really gets to the core of wellness. Because let's just say if we've got people that are making the decisions, then they aren't mentally well. They have maybe an unknown mental health issue, and they don't even realize what has happened, or maybe they do. Maybe it's intentional. I don't know. But we're having this discussion because we want to engineer some change. Some change. Who else would like to chime in on this discussion we're having?
So, may I?
Go ahead.
Okay, so, well, I think we need to promote the diversity and inclusivity across various sectors by taking steps, little steps to create an inclusive environment and ensuring equal opportunities for all individuals, because we need to start this work. And women can actively promote diversity and inclusivity by ensuring diverse representation in their own platforms. I think we need to start on events and campaigns around us, including featuring individuals from different backgrounds, body types, ethnicities, ages, and abilities, and showing different cases and diverse voices and experiences that can inspire and empower a broader range of people. If we can empowerment this kind of people, women and men, of course, this is a woman
Mhm.
panel, but we need to start to integrate in the new step collaboration and partnerships between all the groups. Women has usually more empathy with other women, and we can collaborate with individuals and organizations. We have this kind of skills, and we can prioritize diversity and inclusivity by forging partnership with diverse experts, influencers, and business. We can amplify marginalized voices. We need to go to pick up these voices and go to superior levels and exchange ideas and collectively work towards creating inclusive space and initiatives. If we create more initiatives, we have more voices and more people that have new experiences, and they start to have the courage to have new voices. But I think we need another step of education and awareness on this level. Women can be educated themselves and others issues related to diversity, inclusion, and cultural competence. We can engage in ongoing learning and attend workshops or conferences or diversity and inclusivity and share our own knowledge with our communities. This is a kind of raising awareness and fostering understanding. And I think we can contribute to a more inclusive industry. Okay, but we need to be more active and not only say that we need to embrace inclusivity and diversity. We need to go forward. We need to seek mentorship and support. We need to seek guidance, sharing resources, and creating opportunities for skill development. And we can help empower others to enter and drive to the wellness industry. I think mentorship programs targeted towards marginalized groups can be particularly impactful. Okay,
This
and we need to work on more policy changes too. Okay, because we need to dismantle systemic barriers and address health disparities faced by marginalized communities. And
Let me just jump in because
yes,
this is all important. But I want to get some feedback from Marquita. And here's my question: as a black female living in America, in your experience, and you just like heard Goretta's story about earlier, just being realizing when you get to the realization of why you don't get or are a group of people don't get the job opportunity, don't get the business opportunity, don't get certain things that are afforded other sectors of the community just based on appearance, not ability. How does that make you feel?
Well, let me chime in on this and just speak directly from my personal experience. One, it's not a good feeling. At one point in my life, I was determined to really change the narrative for that. So for me, I am a young mother. I have 7 kids, 2 grandkids. Generally, when I tell individuals that, I'm automatically put in a specific category as far as what my limitations would be based off of what their beliefs are. Nothing for me. I was also a young achiever. So in my 20s, having a master's degree, I had long nails, I had tattoos, and I had purple highlights. But I graduated top of my class. I studied in Turkey, London, and Rome. And there wasn't a business or a corporation that I felt I couldn't work at. But I never made it to corporate America because when they saw me, all they saw was my tattoos, they saw my purple streaks, they saw my nails, they saw I had maybe a couple piercings, and so I never made it. And what I learned in that is that not necessarily to ask so much to sit at the table, but to create the table to invite individuals for
Mhm.
to come sit down with you. But just going back to how it made me feel, I remember it almost like it was yesterday. It really does something mentally, thinking that you can accomplish this and I know I can accomplish it, and probably they can't even accomplish it as good as I can. But the fact that the limitations were put on me, it makes it harder to pick yourself up sometimes to go to the next opportunity. I had to hear so many no's before I decided to create my own table. But that's definitely something that needs to be addressed. How many people don't or aren't capable or don't know how to pick themselves back up?
Mhm.
And then the mental health battle that they have to fight just for one no, or how it was presented to them, because we feel like we can't be ourselves or be who we are meant to be because we're just prejudged.
Wow. Just saying it just like it is. You have to conform to that culture or another culture in order to participate.
Correct.
You have to put on that uniform. You're going to have to look and act like they are. You're going to have to talk a certain way. You're going to have to walk a certain way. That's culture, corporate culture, usually and probably across the world, but that's a male dominated culture,
Hmm.
basically. And there's a certain look and feel and what people like. There's different tastes, but they're not allowing other parts of the culture to participate, but they
Right.
want to draw from it. So I want to ask Cynthia, since she's out in another country, she's dealing with mental health issues, especially from our children. What is the impact of mental health when you're dealing with these kinds of issues? I think you're on mute. Can you come off mute?
Okay. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
So thank you for your question. Dealing with mental health in my country, I'm from Kenya, is something, one, it's a stigmatized conversation. So even being here in this space and understanding what Maketa is saying, that she had to conform or form her own space. For us, inclusivity means when you're speaking and you're a woman and you're talking about mental health, then that's a you field now. It's not all around where men can be in the conversation, women can be the conversation, and children can be. We're getting there, like the small steps that we're doing, and you're getting there. But for children, when I'm working with children, I get to understand that children have emotions. Children are human beings. So when we say they're outside the mental health conversation, or we will get there, like you're not still yet there, we are trying to guide how they're supposed to be feeling. we're telling them when you get to 18 you can't see a therapist. Here you're able to see it, but it's not accessible or affordable in my country. It's yet to be it's something that if you want to you can access it, but it's not as accessible because of either money or either the taboo topic of if you're seeing a therapist then there must be something that's wrong with you. So when you're doing advocacy, some of the challenges that are there are, why are you bringing a child into a conversation, why are you talking about mental health around a child, and maybe they're not able to express themselves. So even when I'm talking to a child, they want to express, but they are like they have a guideline to how much they can be expressive, how much they can share, and in what way. So it's really guided. When Maketa said she had to move aside and form her own space because people wouldn't allow her in the system, if there was a system, people wouldn't allow her in the system because she didn't look like the system, then that's why I created May 40 for children, for them to have those conversations, for them to get someone who is holding their hand during these conversations. When Goreta said we needed mentors, I didn't have a mentor starting advocacy. I started sharing my own story and people saw it. And then they told me, oh, whatever you're doing is called advocacy. And then I said, I like whatever I'm doing, but for adults. And then I realized no one is really speaking up for children. And if they're speaking up for children, are these children, is it for them because it's not by them? If you're adding a conversation and it's not by that person you're talking about, then it's not really for them. So I try share stories of children and ensure that children are the ones that speak directly, so that if you're implementing something for a child, then have a child in that conversation. Ensure that child, whatever things they say are implemented, and you don't leave them out of the implementation process. You hold their hand till the end of the implementation and ask them, how do you feel about it? How can we work towards it? And is it for you? And if it's not working, where can we change or where can we support it? Thank you.
Wow. Cynthia, you gave me a lot to think about. I'm going to ask Maria this question because as a creator and an artist and a technologist, and you're engaging humanity and you understand that humanity has a wellness gap, has a mental health gap, that it's a wounded society in a lot of different ways. So as you create a new world, as you create, like, we're going to create a new virtual world in a certain way. And are we going to be intentional about understanding some of the experiences across the entire spectrum of the human dilemma? How would you address that? Or are you addressing that as you put this into your creative process?
Hey, yeah, thanks for the question. Absolutely. I mean, I think like artists, when you're a creator, you're an artist, and you have like, yeah, you have a humanistic approach, to creating, and the human is really the center of where everything I create, and that's why actually I center all around the body, because I think on my I'm actually creating this project because as an activist gesture of like that's what actually our society needs. And I think I've been reflecting a lot about how we live in a in a society that's really over connected to the mind, because of all our history with it really like the conscious mind is what has been leading all the progress, what has been leading our human evolution. But I think on that process of like over stimulating the mind, we really forgotten about the body and about the spirit. So I think all my work is really related to that, like how to create reconnection to the self, I call it, and reconnection to the self, but more on the I always say the physical body is the first layer of connection, right? And the second layer of connection is the deeper layer of connection in the spiritual connection. And obviously we have a challenge within technology, because at the moment we are all still, right? Like we are really highly stimulated, but we are all like sitting on a chair and like and I think like those one of the problems I can foresee with the metaverse, is that we'll have more of that. That's why I'm collaborating and creating with like artists, and it's interesting because there is like many more like female artists or female creators than man creators in this field of like wearable technology, haptics, and all those things. It seems like women's because maybe we are more empathetic, we are more connected with our body naturally, like then we see this more of a need, and so there is people that are really pursuing more research on that sense. And I think the only way that we can really create a well verse, right, and it wouldn't be like an evil verse or however we want to call it, like is really if we are thinking about what are we doing with the technology? What are we doing with our tool? And the other day, I went to a big event of AI at King's College of London and National Gallery here in London. And they were talking about how there is, a point that we can let really technology to drive this path. It needs to be humans. We need to have a humanistic approach to this development. And for that, we need to stop, to connect with ourselves. So I love the solitude that Marquita was talking about. Like solitude is so important. We don't get it enough, like literally the only way, how are we reconnecting with ourselves? We need to be by ourselves, right? And I think, my whole area of expertise is that what type of technologies are out there that can help this. So I'm pro technology. I work in this field, right? But I think we need to like really curate it and really design it in a way that is coming from, and I think like woman gaze, we are there already. The problem is we are all encountering is that at the end of the day is, male are still the ones that are on power. So they are the first one of getting the hands of the first technologies on the hardware. And they are the first one to experiment with it. And they take it to the path that they know how to, which is the biggest capitalist just focus, which it has actually destroyed the world, so we better not let them to do the same in the virtual world. But I have so many experience. The other day, like I was, even with this program, the National Gallery, I was the only woman in there, and I look around and I actually in these conversations, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm there. I'm really glad I'm there. But why I'm the only one, And I think. I am the only one that also I'm bringing concepts of like emotions. I think we can't really like separate, the emotional journey that humans we are going through of the technology journey. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about health. We are living in a mental health crisis. We are living in a global isolation crisis. And we can help. We have the solutions in ourselves, in our own hands. But we need to give the space to take initiative, right? Because I am like Marqueta. No one ever helped me, so I had to create my own projects from the start, and that's why I became an entrepreneur. Now, actually, she's making me realize why I did it. Also, because I'm a bit of a rebel, and I wanted to do my way. But I'm actually thinking, well, maybe I also did it because no one was coming here to support, right? And for me, it was most important. The social mission, it was stronger than anything else. The resources, and I think that's why we are important, because we have the passion and the resources is our own energy and our own spirit, and we kind of move forward with it.
Man, I'm feeling the passion, the energy. I'm seeing the smiles on all the faces on our panel, because we're opening up the door. Like, all right, let's understand there's a problem. Not to say, just like Vinia said, it's like sometimes it's not intentional. It's a subconscious reaction and how we create things, and it's just the way it was. Now, because maybe it's legacy, it's something that's come from our colonial past that we pretty much all have inherited. Well, here's the deal. As we go back in history, understand this. In human history, you got to look, there was an Egyptian culture that gave way to a Greek culture, that gave way to a Roman culture, that gave way to now a colonial culture. I believe we're coming to the end of this colonial culture, and we're getting into a whole new culture. What that's going to be defined as or what it is obviously is part of the technological revolution, because it allows us to all communicate. So not one person or one part of the world just has information and knowledge. This knowledge can be everywhere. But to everyone's point, right now, where we're at now, this AI engine, which now is really taken off, but you have to understand it only has a certain amount of information. It can only do what it can do, the data that has been given. If we don't interact with it in an intentional and powerful way, that voice is not in the AI of itself, because it's not really biased, but the way it's programmed, the way it's collecting information, it'll recreate. It'll either recreate the world that we already have, and we'll just call that the colonial era, or it'll begin to recreate a whole new world that we don't know what the name of it is, but it's happening. But we're having platforms like this, Gatherverse. We're coming together because, and I guarantee you, AI is listening, because this is on a lot of different platforms. It's starting to gather, like, wow, there are other voices out here that I need to get. I don't know a lot about. I want to learn and wants to learn. So we need to be intentional. I love how Goretta said that. Let's get active. Let's tell our story. We don't no longer have to depend on CNN, Fox News, and all the other regular outlets. Guess what? We have our own outlet, and streaming services are outperforming regular networks now. Right. So we have the tool. We just have to voice it. What does everyone say about that?
Okay. I had like 9 things to say. First things first, I also want to reflect Maria's kudos to Marquita as well. Like, your story definitely reflected on my end as well. So thank you so much for that. Just as a queer woman, I had a very, very different experience where I was forced onto my stage. They said if I was going to get any form of rights on my end, I had to be public, I had to be facing, and I had to be so out and proud that I didn't get a choice to my own safety and security. And it kind of feels a little bit weird that even on the opposite side of that situation, where I'm shoved onto a stage instead of having it taken away, I still experience that same level of loss for control and understanding for what my situation was. So thank you for that. On the media front, I feel like I could talk. I'm going to talk about this. There's a project that's being done with the Center for Public Deliberation, part of Colorado State University. It's super, super exciting. And I was very, very happy and proud to spend a lot of my academic years in the Center for Public Deliberation, helping people come together deliberatively and associatively to solve tough local problems. Well, what's the biggest problem that we have? Edelman's Trust Barometer of 2023 just came out a few months ago, and its biggest thing is that we live in an age of distrust that is fueling hyper-localization. And that hyper-localization is occurring because we have had a systemic historical breakdown of the institutional trust that we placed in our information. Yeah. So here's a very, very brief story. Back when radio came out, everyone was actively engaged in their own information diets. You went to a specific area, a supermarket, where you received information, and then you responded to that information and you decided what you didn't want to listen to, what you did want to engage with, and how you wanted to engage with it. Very much like a grocery store, right? What produce is available? Now, what are you choosing to consume? And then over time, radio said, hey, we have limited channels. This is the information we think you should consume. And people are like, okay, cool, great. Now we have the Uber Eats of our information diet. And then television happened and TV went, you have all of the options, but stay here on Fox, stay here on CNN. And because of that, we now have this information diet coming through. The institution was telling us. So everyone stopped worrying about what they were going to buy at the grocery store of information. They just didn't stretch or exercise that dietary muscle at all. So what happened was when we went into the internet and all of that blew apart and everyone's voices were all equally important. As soon as that happened, CNN became less important. Fox became less important. Traditional media became less important. And their response was to be more polarized, be more vocal so that you could stay and listen to Fox and listen to everything. But the problem was when we went onto social media, all of the tech centers said, well, we have this algorithm now that's going to give you all of the information that you need, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go to these traditional media outlets. So now we have people in the modern day that haven't exercised their information diet muscles, so they're not eating healthfully. And also, an institutional trust system that has completely broken down the entire purpose and demographic of journalism in our culture. And then on the third side, you have a bunch of people saying, yeah, we can solve this technologically. Our tech departments can absolutely solve these issues. But then those people in the tech companies are like, yeah, but free speech and all that, like, we don't want to control that in any way, shape, or form. We created the problem. We don't want to fix it. That's horrifying. What do we do?
Man, this is so clear where we're at. But it's like this. I look at what you just said. It's like this. When you sit down at that radio station, like I have a weekly podcast that I put out there, the TV show, I can choose the information that I put out there. Now, am I going to exercise a muscle to get something that's impactful, that has a cause, that has something that's meaningful? That's my choice. So we have choices. I want to leave us with this. We've got a few minutes, and I want everybody to chime in just with 1 minute. Everybody gets 1 minute. Tell us, as you're talking to our audience right now, what is the one thing that you want to make sure that they understand from this discussion that you yourself are going to take action with? I'm going to start with Marquita.
Okay, great. So I want to leave everybody with the fuel tools that I think probably any influential person will tell you that you need to start today. Just on the change that you want to make. You need to start today with that. When we're talking about shaping the future of wellness, I just want to put out there that a lot of more safe spaces need to be created. A lot of more mental health initiatives need to be created. I really want us as a culture altogether to stop multitasking. I think that probably that's one of the worst advice I had in life. But I didn't realize that until later. I work for the police department, and every job that I've had said you had to multitask. So I get with the police department and I master multitasking. So I'm leveling up, and I'm like, well, if I can do this at work, maybe I can do it at home. So I'm multitasking at work and at home. And 10 years later, I can't recognize who I am, right? Anxiety, depression, trauma, PTSD, you name it, because I'm trying to absorb everything. So that's why I'm so passionate about solitude and the importance of it. And I like Vienna and Maria both stating that even with technology, especially you, Maria, it does need to be human led. I think a lot of us are relying or focusing too much on technology. And I know for me, I'm the person that really doesn't like when I call and I got to say customer service 10 times because they can't hear us. Sometimes we need that human emotion. So that's it.
No, very, very good. We're going to go right to your, I guess on your side, maybe it's your left. Cynthia, would you like to give us a minute of what you would like us to do?
One, start with children. Please allow children to be on these spaces. Please help children innovate, create, or join these spaces, and let them lend their voice even when their voice shakes. I'm glad to see Makata here and Maria. These are examples of people, like people who I didn't get a chance, so I created my own. We don't really have to have those stories. We can have them, yes, but it will be nice when a child is has a mentor, has someone to lead them. So please allow children to be on these spaces to create their voice and their impact. You can hold their hand, yes. And also towards technology and advocacy is not everything you see online, take it with a pinch of salt. Do not start take it with a pinch of salt in terms of mental wellness, where we nowadays have therapists, counselors, specialists online, and everyone will be this therapist said this on this Instagram post and I believe them. This therapist says this is a type of bipolar or this is a type of this disorder and I believe them. Yes, you can take it and internalize it and think through things before you even give yourself a disorder that you do not have, or things. Yes, advocates advocate on technology or social media, and you also take that chance to go. That is not a personalized what do you call it, it's not a personalized thing, so try get to a specialist yourself. So yeah, talk about children, give them spaces, create spaces for them, and implement what they say, and also take everything with a pinch of salt and take care of yourselves. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month.
Nice. That's golden truth. Miss Maria, your closing thoughts.
Yeah, I like to, I guess, remind everyone of the therapeutic impact of art, reclaiming that, how art can drive a social impact, and how also the action of the creative process can be hand in hand, with the healing process. So that's on the kind of like the artistic front. On the technology front, really, to have like more diversity, like the more we have like different type of like designers, artists involved, and it's good for our society, and really to, for once, to leave behind, the capitalist models, and really focus on the humanistic models, because that's really the only way, we can thrive as a society. So, and also collaboration. I think we have a lot to learn from the kind of scientific model of like collaboration. Like I'm a big fan of like scientific documentaries, and I love like to see how like is the history of humans, evolution, really, how they were passing, all the knowledge from one to another. And I think we need to remember that, learn from that, and I guess that goes against, corporatization, but maybe we don't need, so much corporate world in this life anymore. And we actually need, more societies, communities, community-led societies. Actually, that's what we need the most. Maybe I'll leave it there. Yes.
No, that's great. That's great. Vinya, go.
Oh, that's me now?
Yeah.
Yes. So I believe everybody has a voice, and I think we need to listen more carefully all the needs that the people that work with us, that surround us, with different skills, different tendencies, different genders. I think it's important to me every day to give some guidance and support to new ones that are coming, and independent of everything. Okay. I think when people has a good talent, we need to support them and start a new world. Because I think if you have a good voice, we need to take care of the words, because we have good words and damaged words. And when we see people that is embracing a new era, and if we can help them to develop this new era, because I think technology is a way, can be a way of producing good things. And I think embracing the technology and the innovation can lever us more expertise and creativity, because you can be an artist, you can be an activist, and use your own words through the technological platforms. That's the good way of using your words. Don't damage people with words that they don't need to listen. Okay, give them the opportunities, give them personalized solutions, give them virtual coaching. That's the good things that technology can bring to us all together. And be more accessible to others that need your help. This is my daily. I work 24 hours for 20 hours. I have a husband. I have a 5-year-old son and a 24-year-old girl. And my day is very competitive, because I live in a man's world, okay, on technology. And digital value is bringing a new era to people, to women that want to work on technology and be creative. So I believe that we can change the world with our own voice, using that platforms and being more collaborative between each other.
Thank
That's
you.
my message.
Thank you. I think that's awesome. So we're going to end with Vinya. Would you like to give us your closing thoughts?
Yeah, and just real quick, I want you to take a moment and reflect on all of those prior closing thoughts, right? We have a request for safe spaces, a request for children to be listened to better, a request for us to connect better with our bodies, our emotional lives, and connect with our own well-being before we move into professional spaces. And above all, to recognize the power of our voices and recognize that each and every one of us has to be able to speak out with a structure that allows people to listen. That is all of that is community. That is what it means to be community-led. That is what it means to move forward into an abundance mindset. We now live in this new metaverse world of technology. And if Web3 is really coming up and it's really starting and it's really burgeoning, it would behoove us to recognize that we now live in a world so vastly different from the one 50 years ago. We live in a world of abundance now, where a rising tide doesn't just lift all boats. It has to, or we're all going to drown. We have to recognize that. So I have 3 requests for you. One, always focus on building your online communities and plan big. Have these great concepts, but do me a favor, progress small. Make mistakes, because mistakes make better plans. And in that notion, I want you to just take one takeaway from our entire panel. Just take one takeaway and then come back later. This panel is going to be here. We're going to be on YouTube. All of us are available on social. We're not going to stop being our bad selves, right? We will help you out over the long term. So one thing, go out, make mistakes, build community.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, everyone, for being on this panel. Your voice for women and people all over this globe. I want everyone to take note of the diversity and where people are from. We didn't say what country each one was from, but they're from all over the world, and they have similar yet different diverse experiences. And we need to admire and uplift and really honor all of the different, I would say, tapestry of the human experience. And I want people that are out there that really can make a difference in how things are consumed, because we don't want to limit our children in their experience. We don't want them to go through things where they feel like they're less than someone else, because not just on skills, not just on abilities, just because of the way they look. And we all know now, as you go into these game worlds and these metaverses, guess what? You can look like anybody you want to. You can sound like anybody you want to. So this is going to change the dynamic. And we've got to really look back to some things that we learned a long time ago, and I'll close just on the 60s, that you start judging people or looking at people or assessing people on the character that they are, who they are as a soul in this universe. So thank Gatherverse for having this panel today. I want to thank each and every one of you, and have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.firestarbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you. Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.firestarbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.